Hi, I'm Gary Hull Sr. from the Race Club, and today we're really pleased and privileged to have one of the greatest swimmers of all time, perhaps the greatest Swedish swimmer of all time, Lars Frolander, here visiting with us in the Keys. And Lars, great to have you. I guess it's been about 10 or 15 years since you've been to the Keys, but it's great to have you back.
Yeah,
so.
Thank you. I enjoy it every time.
Well, let's talk about you, because you're somewhat of a legend, not just in Sweden, but in the whole world. You had an amazing career at SMU, where you had 5 individual titles there, NC2A titles. Have continued to have a great career, probably highlighted by your gold medal in the Olympics in Sydney in the 100 fly. But now you're 36 years old, or almost 36 years old? How old are you?
Almost 37.
Almost 37. You're challenging territories, I think, but and yet you're going almost as fast as ever. Last summer you went 2/10 slower than your best time that you won the gold medal in a short suit, right?
Yeah, that's definitely.
And you know, you seem to be getting better with age. How do you do that?
Well, I think my training has changed a lot the last 4 or 5 years. Actually, the last 10 years. I kind of quit swimming at around 2003, but I kept swimming for my club team, and they wanted me to swim relays, and then I swam good anyway. I was always done at my best times, so they wanted me to swim the relays in the national team, so I kept swimming there, and that's kind of when I started to experiment a little bit with my training, and I stopped swimming. And maybe I swam maybe like 4 or 5 times a week, and no more than an hour. And then I started to do a lot of weights instead, and try to be more explosive, and I enjoy doing the weights, and I think that's the thing that's been keeping me being able to swim fast.
One of the things I love to do is dispel the myth that you have to be a giant to be a good swimmer. You know, a couple weeks ago we interviewed Ryan Lochte, he's 6'2". You're 6'1".
Yeah, I'm 6'1".
You weigh 180 pounds?
Yep.
And one of the fastest swimmers in the world. So you really don't have to be a huge guy to be fast, and you're proving that. Does that concern you when you go up against guys that are bigger than you? How do you deal with that size difference?
No, I never really thought about it like that way. Even though, you know, I would say in 100 frees that I've been swimming in, I've probably been the shortest guy in the finals. But I think, you know, I have other strength than they don't have. So usually quick turns and good push-ups. And I don't know, I think I can have a higher frequency than I can have. So, and I usually when they get tired, I get tired.
What are some of your when you swim 100 fly, for example, what are some of your race strategies? How do you like to swim it? I mean, what kind of breathing pattern do you use? What kind of stroke rate are you using, and that sort of thing?
Well, the first 50 in the 100 fly, I always want to have a relaxed first 50. Don't try to push it so much, except from the start and under the water kicks. That's when I try to focus my energy, the first 50. And then after the turn, you know, I want to have a good 10 good kicks underwater. And that's really when I start working in the fly. And I always go, I breathe every second stroke, the whole 100, basically.
Breathe every other.
Yeah.
I was just looking back at the number of flyers that breathe every stroke in the 100, which seems to increase. But you've always had success with breathing every other stroke. I know that some coaches preach every stroke and some every other. It really depends on the person.
Yeah, definitely, and how the stroke is, because if I breathe every stroke, it kind of interrupts my technique and the flow, I would say. So I usually always want to breathe every other stroke.
What would you tell people? There's a lot of young swimmers that watch this show, and they want to learn from the best. What would you say is the most important thing for a young swimmer today to become a good flyer? It's the toughest stroke, there's no question about that. But what is the most important aspect of that stroke to be successful?
I think, you know, you have to have a good underwater. I think, you know, butterfly comes from the kicks. So you have to have good kicks to be able to be a really good butterflyer. I think that's the base.
And looking back, obviously Sydney had to be maybe the pinnacle for your career, but you've had some great swims Is there any other than Sydney that stand out as maybe one of the best swims you ever did? It may not have even been your fastest during your career. What were some of your best performances?
I think short course World Championships 2000 prior to the Olympics. That was probably one of my best meets ever, and I broke 3 world records back then.
Wow!
So I think that was one of my highlights.
At 36, almost 37, Lars, what keeps you motivated? How do you get
I want to break 52 in 100 fly. Yeah. That's kind of what's motivates me, and I really want to do it. You know, honestly, with when we have the small suits now, so that's what motivates me. And I always loved racing, and especially the big meets like Europeans, World Championships, and Olympics. So that's kind of what drives me. And the Olympic is such a great experience, so you always want to have another one.
Will this be the last Olympics? This will be the 6th Olympic for Lars Frolander. Will this be the last Olympics for you?
I don't know. You never know. You should never say never.
Well, that's a great attitude. Well, it's really a pleasure to see you here, and we look forward to watching you, and hopefully we'll get to go to London and see you make the finals, which would be a great accomplishment after a long and brilliant career in swimming. So.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.